We're really close to seeing what the Nintendo Switch 2 is all about. With the Direct coming this Wednesday, it's time to brace ourselves for what is bound to be a stacked presentation. This is one of those rare times where any and every idea is on the table, and with so many possibilities, I thought I'd give my 2 cents. I've come up with a huge list of projections and hopes for not just this week's presentation, but for the Nintendo Switch 2's lifespan as a whole. From year 1 releases to a shot at what the C button could do, I've got a lot of ideas. Will all of these ideas come true though? No. Are some of them a bit outrageous? Absolutely. However, we can always hope. So kick back, relax, and get ready to take notes because they'll be coming at you rapid fire. Number 1. The Direct. Tamagotchi Life and Rhythm Heaven may have been really exciting reveals, but there's no denying that the last showcase of the original Switch era was weak, and that's by design. Nintendo is likely gearing up to show us a long presentation. I'll guess at a 30-minute hardware showcase and close to an hour of games, with some classic Nintendo charms sprinkled in here and there. Number 2. Release date. I believe the Direct will finish out with a release date for the new console, and I'd place my bets on June 13th. It'll be a Friday, and a weekend release feels obvious enough. Plus, schools usually start closing for summer in mid to early June, and there's no doubt students will be begging their parents to get their hands on the new system. Number 3. Pack-in titles. Despite the original Switch coming on its own, without any games in the box, I hope the Switch 2 will at least come with some sort of showcase of what the console can do. Said showcase could be anything, but I want it to be. Number 4. Pilot Wings. We already know what the Switch can do, and that knowledge is all but guaranteed to transfer over to the Switch 2. So why not make what is likely to be our first impression with it more of a graphical showcase? Nintendo has historically been far behind in how games look, and they'll want to prove that they're changing that. Sure, there may be a new control gimmick to show off in a pack-in title, but I believe a game about sightseeing in the Pilot Wings franchise can show off the graphics jump really well. The SNES did exactly that, and maybe there is a controller gimmick after all. Number 5. Mouse controls. Pilot Wings could and should be a really good showcase of the Switch 2 Joy-Con's optical sensors, but that's not the point. In the first look trailer of the new console, we saw the Joy-Cons racing together on their sides, which could be teasing the popular rumor that some games may control like a computer mouse. I bet that it'll come true. Nintendo, without a doubt, are the kings of coming up with unique gimmicks, and a lot of games could benefit from more control options. Number 6. Mouse-controlled games. Nintendo wouldn't spend extra on a console feature without utilizing it again, right? It's only fair that there's a series of games, especially some close to launch, that do something with mouse controls, representing new and old franchises, including, but not limited to, Number 7. Mario Maker 3. With Mario Maker 2, it was a little bit strange to keep the control scheme from the Wii U and 3DS, but with only one screen, especially in docked mode where touch controls weren't an option. Being able to make levels by controlling your cursor with a Joy-Con could benefit the franchise a ton. I believe that new gimmick alone could justify the making of a new game. Number 8. Kid Icarus. In another case of a very good game being brought down by control limitations, Kid Icarus Uprising certainly wasn't helped by the 3DS's lack of a second thumbstick for more precise aiming. Whether it's a remaster or something brand new in the franchise, Kid Icarus deserves a chance with some more comfortable movement tech. Number 9. WarioWare. WarioWare is the Nintendo IP that can show off hundreds of different ways to utilize a control gimmick. Twisted did it with a rotation sensor in the cartridge, Touched did it with the DS stylus, and so on. In my eyes, that's a tradition that deserves to be continued. Number 10. A new IP. In a similar manner to ARMS showing off the use of 2 controllers at once, a new IP with a fresh idea might be the best way to demonstrate an interesting use or two for the optical sensors. Number 11. Switch Remasters. There are some franchises that have gotten a game recently enough to not warrant a new entry in the franchise, but still absolutely deserve representation on the Switch 2. I think a good solution to this problem would be to release Switch 2 edition games with a graphical upgrade or new small content drop. While their cartridges will work in a Switch 2, people will certainly buy deluxe editions, such as... Number 12. Splatoon 3. Grand Festival came as a very abrupt finish to new content in Splatoon 3. So many fans of the game, including myself, are itching for just a bit more. A deluxe version would not only give a sales boost to a game that really flattened out after release, but would also be a reason to continue its content cycle. While Splatfests are still happening, a flow of updates that may include third weapon kits would certainly be exciting. Number 13. Super Mario Odyssey. We'll go into more detail on my thoughts on it later, but I don't think a new 3D Mario will be a launch title. Instead, an already beautiful game, which is somehow 8 years old already, should get an upgrade. Many players haven't been near it since beating it just shy of a decade ago, and with a graphics engine overhaul, I'm sure both those who have and haven't played it could be flocking to buy it. Number 14, Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is the game that defined the Nintendo Switch. It's hard to argue that. It's my second favorite game of all time, only behind its sequel, and with Tears of the Kingdom having been released so recently in the grand scheme of 3D Zelda, it's safe to say we're a while off from a new entry in that department. Which is why I believe that Breath of the Wild, a beautiful game with small lag issues at times, could totally get an upgrade. With that though, let's pause on the old stuff. That's not what I want to bloat this video with, so let's get bold and come up with some interesting new ideas. Number 15. Mario Kart. Judging by how it was shown off in our first look teaser at the Switch 2, I think the new Mario Kart game will be a launch title for the system. To add on top of that, number 16. It won't be Mario Kart 9. Whether they count Mario Kart Tour as mainline or not, I don't believe they'll continue the quote-unquote tradition of naming the series' games with numbers. Mario Kart, in the past, has had much more interesting subtitles. I hope they bring that back. With a potentially series-redefining gimmick and increased player totals in races, why not go all in and reference it in the title? Maybe something like Mario Kart Madness could work, referencing the, well, madness of having so many players on a single track. Speaking of which, number 17, Mario Kart Royale. With room for so many players on the track in a race, why not try some new modes? This could be weird, but I'm thinking of Fall Guys-esque Battle Royale mode, where as you progress through a collection of courses, the races get smaller and smaller, with lower ranked players getting eliminated at the end of each race. While this is a kind of out there prediction, I think it would really spice up online play. Number 18, Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing New Horizons was an astronomical success that nobody could have seen coming. Sure, COVID ended up helping it a lot, but I bet Nintendo, seeing it blow up, went right to work on the next entry in the series. It's hard to believe that it's been 5 years since Animal Crossing New Horizons, but that's a lot of time for a new entry to enter the late stages of development. With that context, I believe a new Animal Crossing game will be on the way, and we'll be playing it within a year. Number 19. 3D Mario. I already mentioned that I don't think we'll get a 3D Mario game as a launch title, but that doesn't mean I don't think it'll happen at all. In fact, I think it's as close to a guarantee as we can get. In a similar case to Animal Crossing, but with a few more years in the oven, I feel like getting that coveted new platformer is a safe bet for the first year of Nintendo Switch 2. It could be something really special. Number 20. Star Fox. Star Fox has been left in Nintendo's attic to rot for a while now. It hasn't been getting any love. It's beloved by many, but its last entry was a failure in a failure by not meeting close to standards for even the Wii U. Despite that, smaller Nintendo franchises have had incredible revivals on the original Switch, so I wouldn't be surprised if they took a bet on Star Fox, even if they started out small with a Remasters spin-off title, in a similar vein to Pikmin 3 Deluxe or F-Zero 99. Number 21. Super Smash Bros. Masahiro Sakurai and his team really knocked it out of the park with Smash Ultimate, so much so that the future of the series itself is in question. How do you even follow up such a game with such an incredible hype cycle and DLC? In my opinion, the answer is you don't. Nintendo will want a new Smash game to happen, and it will happen. However, I think it's time for Sakurai to pass the torch for his own sake. Obviously, his team is tired. They've done a lot, so I believe the Smash Bros franchise really outdid themselves, and they need to scale it back. While many may be disappointed, for the health of the series and its developers, a Smash game will happen, but with a lot of cuts, including in the character department. Number 22. Online playtest. Apparently, the online playtest back in October was pretty strange. It was a unique concept for an MMO game in which players built together on planets. With players reporting having fun with it and widespread interest in its contents after being leaked, Nintendo should be, and probably has been, working on making it its own thing. We truly have no idea how long this project has been in the works, or if it still is at all, but I'll bet it's being fleshed out for the future. Number 23. Continued Switch 1 support. The Nintendo Direct this past Thursday basically already proved this, but the original Switch will be getting support well into the Switch 2's lifespan with games like Tamagotchi Life and Pokemon Legends ZA. This support could continue for multiple years, especially since those who switch over to the new console wouldn't be left out thanks to backwards compatibility. Number 24. A sports game. This category is really simple and really broad, so let me elaborate. Whether it be Madden, NHL, EAFC, or NBA 2K, I bet the Switch 2's graphical jumps will entice developers to release more stuff, including licensed sports games on Switch 2. Number 25. All games will be $70. This isn't a prediction I want to make, nor something I'll be ready for, but Tears of the Kingdom was a sign of things to come. Nintendo has been very generous in keeping their games at a $60 price tag for so long, but as their games become more and more ambitious and less profitable, a price bump is inevitable. Number 26. Console will be $399. On a similar note to game prices, it feels safe to guess that the console will cost more than the original Switch. With pressure from investors, a more expensive production cost, and inflation, $399 feels like a reasonable price for both Nintendo and its customers. Number 27. Fastest selling console ever. There's no denying the hype for the Switch 2. So many people really want their hands on one. That will most definitely show in its sales data. In its first week on the market, the Nintendo Switch 2 will sell more than any other console in history in that same time frame. The thing is set up to have an explosive start. Number 28. Joy-Con colors. This doesn't need to be a weird topic to discuss, but somehow Nintendo has made it a mystery, with pops of color only showing around the sticks and the connection parts between the controller and the console. We don't really know what other variants of the Joy-Con may look like. Obviously, we should get more color options, but they could be different combinations of colors that may make both the shell and outlines different colors. Number 29. Console skins. On a similar note, limited edition consoles feel like a guarantee after the Switch 2 settles into the market. Different designs have always encouraged those who already own a certain console to buy it again somehow. Number 30. Menu themes. Something the original Switch missed big time was different ways to spice up your UI. While not a very big deal, many players missed the ability to customize your Switch to your liking, which made the console very bland to many. I believe the Switch 2 should and will utilize menu themes to give it an extra pop of personality over its competition. Number 31. eShop UI overhaul. Currently, the Switch eShop is pretty terrible from a UI perspective. Without mentioning lag, the platform is really difficult to navigate. Not only are things laid out strangely, the categories themselves for scrolling games are really broad and make plenty of room for slop to take center stage. The eShop needs to be something totally different on Nintendo Switch 2, and that starts with a better looking and easier to navigate UI. But also, number 32. eShop vetting process. There are a lot of low quality cash grab games on the current eShop. Whether it be AI generated slop or porn, Nintendo absolutely needs to start getting strict on what gets let in. Towards the end of the Switch 1's lifespan, its digital market has become a disaster. Alongside the potential UI upgrade, Nintendo needs an intense vetting process to keep the quality of the products they're platforming high. Number 33. AI upscaling. I know when I say this, a lot of people are gonna be a little grossed out, and I get it. I really hate generative AI as well. I think it sucks for real artists. However, there are means for Nintendo to utilize AI more healthily. AI upscaling is a good way to start. All it does is take an image, let's say it's 1080p, and stretches it out so it fits into 4K, while adding pixels in between those that already exist. If the Nintendo Switch 2 ends up being underpowered, AI upscaling technology can be used to keep a high quality look. Number 34. Pro Controller. It's not quite a guarantee, but it's very safe to assume the Switch 2 will have some kind of premium controller. While I really like the Switch 1's Pro Controller, it has its issues. First off, it's not the most durable of controllers. In fact, my L button has a hole in it. Oops. Also, the D-pad is especially strange, and will often have you pressing in the wrong direction. I hope and wish that the Nintendo Switch 2 has a more durable controller, and that the D-pad is manufactured differently. Number 35. Analog triggers. Analog triggers are another thing the Switch missed out on. Many games have utilized the more flexible input options very well on other consoles, but when those games have come to Switch, they've had to come up with some clunky ways to keep that input flexibility there due to the console's binary inputs. Nintendo has utilized analog triggers before on the GameCube and used them to create the central mechanic in Mario Sunshine and other games. I get that the Joy-Cons are small, but the Switch 2 could benefit a lot from bringing back a feature that gamers everywhere appreciate. Number 36. C button. Leaks of the Nintendo Switch 2 have shown there to be a C button on the right Joy-Con, which seems strange. It could be a lot of different things, but judging by its location on the controller, I don't think it'll be a button we press that often. My guess is that it'll be some kind of social menu button, which already exists on Xbox and PlayStation controllers. In my opinion, this button really isn't necessary, but could be used to enable voice chat or invite friends to your lobbies, which I'm sure many people will appreciate. With that, I think I've given plenty of predictions, and I need to get this video out on time. time. Will all these predictions come true? Absolutely not, but I can hope and dream. I can't believe the Nintendo Switch 2 is so close to being shown off. I just cannot wait.